KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP.
That's right. It's KP's Video News, y'all. Yep. That's right, folks. KP's Video News. You know who it is. You know how I do it. That's right, folks. It's KP's Video News, man. I was in the back trying to get my Frederick Douglass together. Yep. Trying to get my Frederick Douglass together, man. You know how it be. Anyway, yes, KP's Video News, and I'm gonna do a article here on Juneteenth. Let me see. Let me grab something right quick. Grab this right quick. I want to put this out there. Let me put this out there. Y'all see this? Let me move my mic out the way. All right. You see what it says, right? Juneteenth, 1865, because my ancestors weren't free in 1776. That's right. Juneteenth. We were not free in 1776. And as a matter of fact, that's when all our problems started. 1776. So you sitting up here celebrating the 4th of July, which is L-I-E, lie, the 4th of July, L-I-E, when you should be celebrating this Juneteenth. I'm going to be out in the backyard barbecuing, popping firecrackers and all that on Juneteenth, man. It ain't going to be no celebration here on the 4th of July. That ain't happening. That's over. It's over. For me, it is anyway. July 14th is celebrated every year on June 19th. Juneteenth is what I'm saying. And it marks an important moment in African American history and American history, period. And the event was made a federal holiday by Congress on June 16th, 2021. And it was signed into law by President Joe Biden the next day. So it's everything you need to know about Juneteenth, including the origin and how it's celebrated. And so Juneteenth commemorates the end of slavery in the United States, and its name stems from the date. The historic event occurred June 19th, 1865, and on that day, 250,000 African Americans still enslaved were told that the Civil War had ended and they had been legally declared free. So that momentous day has been commemorated annually in Galveston, Texas, and other parts of the United States in the years since. Juneteenth became an official holiday, state holiday in Texas in 1980, and but it became a federal, U.S. federal holiday in 2021, last year. So the holiday is also known as Emancipation Day, and how is it? It's celebrated by educational events, barbecues, concerts, exhibitions are just some of the ways that people can mark the Juneteenth holiday. And so I'm gonna give you a deeper explanation and definition of what Juneteenth was. So Juneteenth, officially called Juneteenth National Independence Day, also known as Jubilee Day, Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, and Black Independence Day, is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. It also is often observed by celebrating African American culture. Originating in Galveston, Texas, it has been celebrated annually on June 19th in various parts of the United States since 1865. And the day was recognized as a federal holiday on June 17th, 2021 by Joe Biden signing the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. Juneteenth's commemoration is on the anniversary date of June 19th, 1865, announcement of General Order Number 3 by the Union Army General Gordon Granger proclaiming freedom for enslaved people in Texas, which was the last state of the Confederacy with institutionalized slavery. Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, issued on January 1st, 1863, so it was 2 years later, had freed the enslaved people in Texas and all the southern secessionist states of the Confederacy except for parts of the state not in rebellion. Enforcement of the proclamation generally relied on the advance of Union troops. Texas, as the most remote state in the former Confederacy, has seen an expansion of slavery and the low presence of Union troops as the American Civil War ended. Thus, enforcement had been slow and inconsistent prior to Granger's announcement. Although the Emancipation Proclamation declared an end to slavery in the Confederate States, it did not end slavery in states that remained in the Union. For a short while after the fall of the Confederacy, slavery remained legal in 2 of the Union border states, Delaware and Kentucky. Those enslaved people were freed with the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished chattel slavery nationwide December 6, 1865. The last enslaved people present in the continental United States were freed when enslaved people held by the Choctaw, the Indian territories who had sided with the Confederacy, were released in 1866. So celebration date to 1866 at first involved church-centered community gatherings in Texas, and they spread across the South and became more commercialized in the 1920s and 30s, often centering on a food festival. Participants of the Great Migration out of the South carried their celebration to other parts of the country. During the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, these celebrations were eclipsed by nonviolent determination to achieve civil rights, but grew in popularity again in the 1970s with a focus on African Americans' freedom and African American arts. Beginning with the Texas Proclamation in 1938, by the legislation in 1979, each U.S. state and the District of Columbia have formally recognized the holiday in some way or another. With its adoption in certain parts of Mexico, the holiday became an international holiday. Juneteenth is celebrated by the Muskogos, descendants of the Black Seminoles who escaped from slavery in 1852 and settled in Coahuila, Mexico. Celebratory traditions often include public readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, singing traditional songs that swing low, sweet chariot, lift every voice and sing, and the reading of works by noted African American writers, and such as Ralph Ellison and Maya Angelou. Some Juneteenth celebrations also include rodeos, street fairs, cookouts, family reunions, park parties, historical reenactments, Miss Juneteenth contest. When Juneteenth became a federal holiday on June 17, 2021, it was the first new holiday since Martin Luther King's birthday, junior birthday, was adopted in 1983. So, like I said before, the holiday is considered the longest running African American holiday in history and has been called America's second Independence Day. Juneteenth is usually celebrated on the third Saturday in June. Historian Mitch Cajun considers the celebration of the end of slavery to have 3 goals: to celebrate, to educate, and to agitate. Early celebrations consisted of baseball, fishing, and rodeos. African Americans were often prohibited from using public facilities for their celebrations, so they often held at churches or near water. Celebrations were also characterized by elaborate large meals and people wearing their best clothing. It was common for former enslaved people and their descendants to make the pilgrimage to pilgrimage to Galveston, Texas. Wow, that's pretty cool. Making that pilgrimage, head down to Galveston. As early festivals received news coverage, since Janice Hume and Noah Archibald consider that they served to assimilate African American memories within the dominant American story. Observance today is primary in local celebrations. In many places, Juneteenth has become a multicultural holiday. Traditions include public readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, singing traditional songs, and the reading of the works, as I said, by Maya Angelou and Ralph Ellison. Celebrations include picnics, rodeos, street fairs, cookouts, family reunions, park parties, historical reenactments, blues festivals. And Juneteenth celebration often include lectures and exhibitions of African American culture. And the modern holiday places much emphasis upon teaching about the African American heritage. Karen M. Thomas wrote in Emerge that community leaders have latched on to Juneteenth to help instill a sense of heritage and pride in Black youth. Celebrations are commonly accompanied by voter registration efforts, the performing of plays, and the retelling of stories. The holiday is also a celebration of soul food and other food with African American influences. And yeah, so like I said, doing that, this goes back, man. All that time they did with that, the Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865, the emancipation claim at different times to various places in the southern United States. So large celebrations of emancipation, often called jubilees, and occurred September 22nd, January 1st, July 4th, August 1st, April 6th, November 1st, among other dates. But in Texas, that emancipation came late, enforced in Texas in June 19th, 1865. So, as the Southern Rebellion collapsed, emancipation became a well-known cause for celebration. That's right, folks. So it's time to celebrate your ancestors, your great-great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers and aunts and great-great-great aunts and all those ones that were celebrated, that were freed during after the end of the Civil War. And so I just did last story I did on the Black Wall Street, on the Tulsa race riots that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where you had hundreds of Black people end up getting killed over foolishness and jealousy, and they could not stand to see Black people progressing on their own. They no longer needed them, and the white people wanted to have that power. They wanted to have that control, man. They saw they was losing control, and they wanted to have it back. So I mean, and then you had Red Summer the year before, where they had at least 65 riots that occurred in the United States, all the way across the United States, from Florida all the way across the United States, man. New York, Chicago, Detroit, Wilmington, South Carolina, all this stuff. I mean, Rosewood, Atlanta, Texas, New Orleans, Memphis, Washington, D.C. So this stuff went on. All these race riots went on, and these are the people that created riots. Those riots that they created, they were attacking Black people. They were the first ones to start riots. But when they see something happening in the Black community, it's like, oh, look at them, they're over there rioting. But you're the ones that started it. Anyway, Juneteenth this weekend, folks. Juneteenth this weekend. And if anybody's out there in L.A., you need to head over to Carson, over to Mills Park in Carson. And I know several people that are putting on a big event in the city of Carson, California. They're going to have music, food, a car show. Simeon Guignard is in charge of the car show. Greg Rose is going to be one of the people that's going to be performing there, singing. And several other groups are going to be singing. It's going to be a lot of good things going on nationwide that this first true nationwide celebration of Juneteenth, man. We got time to get out there and celebrate us. Forget about the 4th of July. That ain't happening. 4th of July is over, man. That's over. That's over for me. Anyway. KP's Video News, y'all.
KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all.
KP's Video News, y'all. You know who it is.
It's KP's Video News, y'all.